Welcome back to or welcome to our first lab, part A. What I did was I broke up the first lab. I'm breaking up the first lab into different parts because it's our first lab. And again, when it comes to anytime we're extracting any type of data or working with any data, there's some complexity. So I figure if we just move in a little bit at first, if we move in slower chunks, it'll be easier for you guys to ask questions and address any problems we have. So our first lab is basically you are either a financier or executive producer of movies, right? Or you want to start producing movies, right? How do you apply analytics to your thought process on what type of movies you should be financing? Again, forget the artistic aspect, purely for the money. What movies you should be investing in terms of quality, in terms of profits, right? In terms of quality and profits. And in this lab, what we're going to do is we are going to start moving to the IDMB. Move this down. There we go. Sorry. Right here to our first lab. Now we're going to go to the IMDB site and we're going to extract data. We're going to structure this data. We're going to prep this data for us to use for our analysis. Now, the model or classification algorithm we're going to use to do the analysis is decision trees, right? Decision trees. Decision trees are very popular. They lead you to what we call random forests. And the reason why I'm opening up with showing you guys the decision trees or random forest models in machine learning is because they tend to be the most popular. They tend to be very different than what you've done in regression. And so what I want to do is I wanted to make sure that we have plenty of time to cover it before we did anything else. So this is why we're opening up with it. And also it's just to go to in terms of what people, I want to say what people want, but basically like what the industry, like a lot of times layman's in terms of the industry, they talk about um, machine learning, and a lot of times you'll see in a lot of these projects or job recs, you see random forest classifiers, you see decision trees. They're always everywhere, right? They're always everywhere for some reason. So I mean, it's very popular. It tends to be, it's incredible. It's very different compared to stuff you've seen in terms of statistics and regressions. So hopefully you guys enjoy it as much as I do. So from here, guys, what we want to do is we want to um, go to the IMDb site. We're going to download it. We're also going to go to Open Up R. We're going to download a new package called RVest. You guys remember this from either ABI or from your other R classes. And we will analyze the data using, I would say very basically using data tables and ggplot. But in essence, we want to use what the package called rpart. Rpart is the package, is the decision tree package in R. Right now, for my students that have taken BAP or will take BAP, you will see that we'll use the sklearn package. In Python, that's the machine learning package. In R, they have several different packages we use for machine learning. One of them is rpart, that has the decision trees analysis, and I think from there we can go to random forest packages. All right, so what we want to start with is we want to go to the top rated movies. That's the data we really want, right? So if you go to the site here, right here, I'm on IMDb. So I'm on my Google Chrome, and I'm on IMDb now. If you go up here to the menu and click on that, right, and you come here to top box office, right, top box office, or let's see, do we want the top box office? Let's take the top rated movies. This gives us a little more data. So we go to top rated movies right here, the third one right here. You click on this, and you have all these movies. The first one being The Shawshank Redemption, with the IMDb rating of 9.2. Fantastic movie. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. Great movie. I love the fact that The Dark Knight is up here at number 4. I love Batman. I just love what Nolan did with the movie. So this is basically the starting off page that we want to get data from, right? Look at the data that we have here. We have obviously the names of movies, and look, it has about 250 movies. And look, when you're doing analysis, it's not that much, but for our purposes, this is good. This is good, and it's just enough data so that we don't break our computers again. I don't know how powerful your machines are when we're doing the analysis, so it'll be good enough. And this list is actually gets smaller. You'll see as we do the scraping. So, I mean, there's already a lot of information here. For instance, Shawshank Redemption. Boom. The title, the name is there. The title of the the company, the movie we want, the year it was made, its ranking. So we have a lot of data here. Along with this, if you were to click on this, right, it would take you to the individual page for each movie, where there's more information. So we want to scrape this page, and after we scrape this page, so this in part A, this is what we'll do. We'll be scraping this page and setting up for then going back to the data that we collected, these links. And then what we're going to do is we're going to loop through each one of the links, these names, and we're going to take that href link, and we're then going to go to the individual pages and scrape those in a for loop. All right. So that's how we're going to pretty much tackle this. So part A, I left that for part B, when we actually go individually through every link and get the information. All right. That's a little more annoying because what happens is you'll see IMDB for each individual page, they actually change the format from page to page. They have different types of companies always do this. They're always trying to upsell products and services. Ideally, if we were doing this analysis, if you were a movie producer company, we would actually go to IMDb and just actually, or another third-party data company, and actually buy their packages, or they buy their data, which I think what they're trying to sell. But I mean, this is good enough for what we're trying to do. If we want to call initial analysis, right? Even wherever you guys work, you don't want to invest in data until you are confident you can do something with that data. All right. So remember, as we do these labs, I want you to think to yourself, there's always two ways you can use machine learning to drive value in a business. Better data, better application of the algorithms, right? Which we're going to do both. But that should be always on your mind. Better or maybe more clever ways to access and get data that your competitors don't have, or aren't even thinking about, or more clever and better ways to utilize these algorithms that we're going to use. In this case, it'll be decision trees and the R-part algorithm. All right, so first things first, let's jump into this. All right, now what we want to do is, whenever we're scraping anything, remember, we don't scrape what you see, right? You don't scrape what you see. What we are scraping is the underlying HTML, JavaScript, and CSS code behind the scenes. That's what we scrape. That is the language that shows website. I don't know if you guys have done any web development, but that is the language that actually gets processed in the browsers, right? In this case, Google Chrome, and displays this web page right here. My online dashboard, my web-based dashboard, guys, we're going to be doing some HTML. You guys will be learning some HTML, so you get a little more comfortable with it. Right? So, but for the rest of you, you don't have to know that much HTML. You just have to understand that's the concept, that the syntax is basically surrounds around tags and text. All right? What does that mean? Well, first things first, if you go to the page right here, and if you right click it, this little menu pops up, and down here, you'll see something that says view page source. You click on that. This behemoth, ugly definition that I would say like HTML code, JavaScript code, all this stuff pops up. And you'll notice the first thing you see up here is an open HTML tag, right? For some reason, one of the slashes here is missing. I don't know why. Maybe a Chrome thing, right? And if you scroll down, look at all this. Just to create that page, right? Just to create this page, guys. But you're thinking to yourself, all right, it's a pretty basic page. I don't know if there's any marketers here or designers here. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. Look at all that goes into it. All right. We need to go through all this behemoth to get the data we want, This is what we'll be scraping, not this. When you do web scraping, this is the stuff you get back. And you have to traverse through this. Have an understanding how to traverse through this to do this. All right. Now, the first thing we want to do is let's find the data. Let's find our data that we're looking for. That's what you want to do whenever you're scraping. Whenever I do scraping, I want to find where my data is, right? So right here, I want to start off with the Shawshank Redemption, then get and all these other titles. I want all these titles. So what I'm going to do is over here under View, where my text is, my HTML text. Let me zoom in a little bit. Also, it's kind of really small. For some reason, there's a lag in my computer. All right. All right, so that's good. So let me zoom in here. So what I want to do is I want to press now Command F or Control F, and that allows me to search this behemoth. Right, it allows me to search it. And the first thing I'm going to search for is Shawshank Redemption. And here I find the Shawshank Redemption, right? All right, now you'll notice here, there's 2 iterations of it. All right, now this requires you to know a little bit of HTML. This iteration right here is basically for the image. See that tag, open image source? This alt equals basically is naming that image. You typically, when you're doing web development, when you put an image up, you want to give it some sort of name. In case the image doesn't load, it has to do all with the stuff with the way Google does searching and all this, et cetera, right? So this is not the one we want. If we go further, this is the one we want. All right. This now for my people that don't know HTML, this A open bracket and A close bracket. This is, well, I should actually say A href, right? A href open bracket, and then the /A close bracket. These are HTML tags. This specific HTML tag, from beginning to close, right here, this is basically how you create a HTML link to another web page, right? Another HTML link to another web page, like this right there. That's how you create these links on HTMLs. You wrap them, encapsulate it in these ahref tags, right? And this one will have it. This one will have it. If I scroll down a little bit, so this is the one for Shawshank Redemption. Scroll down a little bit more, you'll see right here another A1 for The Godfather, etc., right? So this is what we want. There's a lot of data here, man. There's a lot of data here, guys. There's a lot of data here. Even data that we probably couldn't even see here, we see here. For example, we got the Shawshank Redemption. Cool, we got the name. We got this hyperlink. All right. This link we need, see that href? Whatever is here in the href part, that is the extension of the HTML that sends us to the individual page. We want that too. Over here, there's also something called a title. Look at this. Within the href, there's another keyword with value called title that has the director and I guess the 2 big stars, right? 2 big stars. We can grab this information also. Also, over here, it's the date, not the date, I'm sorry, the year that the movie was made. We want that as well, right? So we can grab all this stuff. This is good stuff for us. All relevant information, right? And the rating over here also. And along with the rating, check this out. It also has how many users voted on that rating. That could be relevant information. So we want all this, right? We want all this. Let's take it. Let us take it. All right, first things first. Let's get the packages we need, people. All right, let's get the package we need. So here I'm going to go open up a new script file. For those of you that took R with me, actually all of you guys have taken R, so you guys are a little familiar with this. always open up another script file for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up. I'm going to save this in my folder for my class, which is BML right here. And I will save this as let me name this. Let's see, I already have a lab one that was meshing around with. So I'll call this, I guess, BAML lab number 1. All right, guys? You guys can just call it, or underscore, I'll do BAML lab underscore 1. But you guys can name it anything you want. I just need to differentiate it. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we need a package that is not native to RStudio. There's a package here that was created by programmers, right? And you can look up, who these, when you download these packages, who these programmers are, their background, and they do great work. And again, this goes to the power of R, the fact that you have all these programmers around the world developing these packages to make things easier for you. So we want to install it. All right. So here we're going to install here. Just like it says in the slide, right down here, we're install, right? So down here, you read packages, top button, right below packages is install. Click on it, this box shows up, and you're just going to type in rvest. It's that simple. Oh, yes, I already have it loaded up, so that's why I got that. So I'm just reinstalling it. Let's see if that worked. And again, there we go. That's what you want to see. All right, and it should automatically install. From there, we're going to call it. Remember, in R, when we call a package that we're going to use, we use the library command. So here I'm going to use rvest, not rvest. And with rvest, there's 2 additional packages we need to download, XML and XML2. All right, and in addition to that, I'm going to download data tables. Now, if you didn't have me, I assume if you have your other classes, you guys use data table. If not, it's not a big deal. Go down here to packages as well. You have to install it because data tables is also not native to R. Go down here and type in data table, select it, and install that one as well. And then you'll be able to call it. All right. But I think in most of our classes now, MITA classes, we're all using data tables. All right, so now we're good to go. We got everything loaded up. I processed everything. Let's rock. The next step from here is to do a little scraping action. All right. Now, if we go back to our top rated movies right here, you come up here, you see this URL link. That's the URL link we want to feed into our program. All right, that we want to feed into our program to run. All right, so I'm just going to go here, copy it here, put it in quotes. Alrighty, I'm going to save it in a I'm going to put this in a variable just so it's easier that way. I'll call it URL. You can call it anything you want. All right, and you'll notice this data container now just has a single value right up there. All right, and from here, the function we want to call is read_HTML. Now, again, for first-time R programmers, URL, and in this case now page, these are variable, meaning You can name them anything you want. If you guys remember from algebra, geometry, you do x equals 7 or write equations, x equals this, x equals that. Same concept. You can name these anything you want. I'm just calling them page, so you can use my variables. You can use your own, right? That's all it is. So from here, the command we care about is read HTML. I provide the URL in there. I run it. And ladies and gentlemen, now over here, if you click on this, it shows you have a list of 2. What does that mean? Page, all the results from these libraries we call from our vest, all the results come back to us as a list. That's why, if you remember from the intro, I was like, let me review you guys on the list. Everything comes back as a list. And remember, a list is a special kind of data container in R. It's a data container that stores other data containers. Yeah, I know. It's freaky, but it's the way it works, right? It's the way it works. And don't worry, you'll get comfortable working with this. So now we have this, if I can show you here, all this right here. Again, let me zoom in. Do what I want. This is probably easier to see this way. Right, here we go. Right, all this stuff, top to bottom, it's all now loaded up into this variable called page. It's all there. Now we're going to have to use these other functionalities to go ahead and strip the information we want. All right, now over here, I have pretty much the snippet from the HTML page right here. So I have pretty much this part right here. That's what I have in that snippet in my slide. And what I'm basically showing you here is, if you look at this snippet in the slide, I apologize for going back and forth that fast. Let me do this. All right, there we go. All right, if you look, right, this is what you're seeing, right? And in the actual backend code, HTML code, behind the scene in the browser. What we want is, we have this whole thing loaded into our page variable, but we want to get to this information for every movie. For every movie, how do we do this? Well, there's a function here called HTML_elements. And the way HTML_elements works is, it's looking for this keyword called class. And you'll see it all over the place. I see a class right here. I see a class right there. Let me go back here. So what does this keyword class mean? Class here, class here. You see it everywhere. You see, these classes is how we identify certain HTML tags. And you'll notice there's funky names, all of them. And some of them have more than one name right here. Like, look, this. What's going on here? Well, these classes are basically how we predefine formatting. Okay? We predefine formatting in a CSS page. CSS page. Again, you guys don't have to worry about really what a CSS page. All you have to know is somewhere there's a page called a file called CSS, and in that file we define how we want all these HTML elements to look. Right? These are all HTML elements, but see the way they look, this color, this font, this size, right? This spacing, this background, slight shade, all this stuff, where it's positioned. CSS controls all that. CSS does all that. And the way CSS does it is that each HTML element is tagged with one or more CSS classes. And those CSS classes define the appearance of that HTML tag. That's the way it works. Okay? Now, given these class definitions on appearances, this function right here, HTML_elements, this searches for certain classes in the page, in our page object. So our page object is here with all this kind of code, all this HTML code is loaded up in there from top to bottom. And what we're saying here is we do comma, and in quotes we say dot title column. Okay, dot title column. Every time you see a dot before the name, that basically means I'm looking for this class. So what ends up happening here is HT_elements will look at all the HTML classes in this file that we loaded up into page, every single class keyword, every single one of these class keywords. and it's going to hunt down title column. Now notice again, we have to do dot title column, right? The reason why we do dot title column because we use the dot to differentiate the fact that, hey, this is a class description we're looking at, okay? And everywhere, it's going to go ahead and grab title column. Let's do that right here. So over here, in my search, let me write down title column. Right, boom. And right off the bat, what do you see here, guys? I think it's too small to see on my screen, but if you're following along with me, you see 100 to 250. There are 250 instances of title column. 250 instances in title column. Ironically, we have 250 movies right here. So this pretty much then is telling me each one of these like movie names, formatting, whatever, is in a separate title column. So if I were to simply do HTML, this part right here, let me copy it. If I were to simply just do, right, let me get rid of this part right here. By the way, be careful when you copy and paste, guys. Again, my ABI students know this, and my BAP students know this. When you copy and paste, the quotes are always messed up. So you always got to go back and delete and do the quotes. All right? Like I just did. So if I were just leave it like this, what would end up happening is HTML_elements would literally go into this file, find everywhere in the classes where there's a title column, and grab that HTML tag. What do I mean by grab that HTML tag? It would literally, see how this is the HTML tag that's associated with it. Notice it starts with a TD. Again, the little less than or whatever, a TD. This whole, the way HTML tags work is there's the opening tag and a closing tag, all right? So this is the opening tag, and we have to basically look for a TD with a slash in it. We have to basically look for this, all right? So it looks like, if I scroll there, this is the opening tag for TD, this is the closing tag for this particular TD. HTML_elements will get this whole thing because this whole tag's class is title column. So it'll grab it. In fact, it'll grab it for every single instance there. It'll grab it for every single instance there. All 250 of them, it'll grab. All right, all 250 it'll grab. But we're not satisfied with that. All right, so over here, notice I don't just do this and call it a day in my slides. No. I do title column space A. No dot, but I do space A, okay? Now what's going on there? What's going on is we're saying, okay, grab all the elements here where the HTML tag's class is title column. It's being the class of the HTML element is being designed by the title column and title column definition, whatever that definition is defined in CSS. Oh, by the way, my online dashboard programming students, you're going to find out about this because we're going to be doing CSS and HTML, all right? So it's going to go and grab all these. But now because I'm doing space A, all right, no dot, just A, okay? With that saying now, all right. Now within the HTML element where class is title column, find another HTML element that starts with A, which is that. The opening A bracket all the way up to the closing A bracket. Again, remember HTML, the way HTML works, there's an open and close bracket. So now we're not going to get all this. We're going to get in each one of these title column HTML tags. Within those tags, we're going to grab the immediate A tag. This is what we're going to grab. And we're going to grab it for every instance where there's a title column. So we're going to grab it here. If I scroll down a little more, you see another one right there, right? So this will be grabbed, and so on, so on, so forth. In fact, because there's 250 of them, we're going to grab 250 of them. So let's go ahead and do that, right? Do space A, run it, boom. You notice now over here, HE now becomes a list of 250 elements. Let's just look at one. Do I do that here? HE. Oh, I did the whole thing. All right, let's look at the whole thing. If I type in HE here, boom. Right, it cuts it off at 20, but there's 250 of it. So basically, you see this bracket square one. Basically, HE becomes, it's a list, right? And so this list has 250 objects in it. The first object, second object, third object, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And look, you can see it's an href tag. See that? This is the one for Shawshank Redemption. This is the one right after it, et cetera, for all 250 of them. See that? All right, so that's how we have that tag. And now we have all the information. Now we want to scrape within each one of these lines. We want to scrape within each one of these lines. All right, now I will introduce you to another function called HTML_text. Now, what does HTML_text do, guys? HTML_text, it basically grabs the text that is within that HTML tag. All right? So look, I have this here. These hrefs is what we grabbed, right? In our slide, these hrefs are what we grabbed. Now, the text part of these HTML tags, it's whatever's encapsulated between the opening A tag and the closing A tag. This, see this? That's the opening A tag. This tag goes all the way up to here, that closing arrow. That whole thing is the opening A tag. Yes, the HTML tags can get that crazy. The closing tag is much simpler and straightforward. All right? Anything in between it, which is this, that's the HTML text. That's what will be grabbed. So if I go here to the code, all right, I'm going to go ahead and do HE. What did I do here? Oh, I did it all in one shot. Okay, fine. I'll show it to you guys all in one shot. So we'll call it movie.name, right? Because exactly what are we grabbing here if you look at it? When we do this, when we get the HTML text for all those objects, we're now grabbing the movie name. All right, so let's do that. So I will call this, let me follow along. I think it's called a movie.name. Sorry for jumping around like this. All right, equals HTML_text HE. I'll run this, and now if I type movie.name, looky, looky, what do I got, people? I just stripped all the names. It's that easy, all right? Now you guys know why I kept this part in the curriculum. It's cool. It's cool. And also, and I cannot stress this again, the competitive advantage you guys bring to the table is you're always thinking about how can I be more clever with the data out there in your firm and your corporation, or how can I be more unique in how we analyze the information. That's the second part, right? That's going to be when we mess around with the decision trees or classifying trees, right? All right, so we'll get to that. So boom, I got the names. I'm ready to roll. So I already stripped the names from here. Excellent. All right, and from here, guys, I'm going to dump this into a data table. And the name of my data table will be DT. Boom. Right? You'll notice DT is up there. It's table. You see the little grid right there. I click on that. Booyah. Got my little table right here. Look at that. With the names. All right? We're not done, though. We need a little more information. If we're going to have fun, we need a little more information, guys. All right. By the way, always remember to save your script file, just like a Word document or PowerPoint, whatever it is you guys are working on. All right. From here, let's do a little more damage, shall we? All right, now I'm going to show you guys another function, HTML_ATTR, attributes, if you will. What is this doing now? So over here, we grab the text that was in the HE objects, right? We grabbed the text that was in the HE objects, which again was from here to all the way to here for every movie. Stop it. From the opening A to the closing A of every movie. All right? Opening A to closing A of every movie. All right. That's what HTML text gets. I'll give you one guess what HTML underscore ATTRS gives you. That now will scrape the information within the actual A brackets right here, within the actual opening A tag. Okay? How does it do it? Why is it doing it? Well, firstly, why do we care? We care because over here in the href keyword in here, this right here, like I said before, that is the link to the specific movie page. And in the second part, we want to call that link for each movie. It's going to be a little messy, by the way. We can talk about that later, why it's going to happen. It's going to happen because what happens is IMDB changes the format for each HTML page because they're trying to promote, like I said, they start changing designs and stuff like that. It's part of experimenting with web designs for companies. Companies are always messing around with different web designs to see what effect it has on the user experience. So we'll come across that in the next part. But nevertheless, we need this part to at least get to that page, right? That's the address to those specific. So for example, this link right here is going to be the link to the Shawshank Redemption webpage, the Shawshank Redemption webpage. If I can show you here, right? If I click right here, this. See how it takes you here? This is the Shawshank Redemption page, and it has so much more information that we want to grab, right? So we're going to go through this and grab the information we really care about, mostly this stuff right here. The budget, the gross USA, cumulative worldwide. And by the way, look at it. It wasn't really a big money maker, right? Even though it's a very popular movie, right? So let me go back. This link is what we want to grab. Now, the link we're grabbing is only going to be, if you notice, it's only from this / title part, right? It's only from this part right here. So this is the only parts they have in there. We will add this part to each string. All right, we will add that first IMD part to each string. All right, so firstly, we want this part. We want the link. We'll call it the link. Secondly, the other keyword in the A bracket tag is this right here, right? So this title, I don't know why they call it a title. This basically has the director, another key piece of information we want, and it looks like the two main stars for every movie. In this case, Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. And that comes in handy as well. So we're gonna go ahead and grab that. All right, we're just gonna grab that whole title keyword. So we want both the href and the title keyword, all right? So when I call that movie.a, right, we want ATTRS, by the way. That's for multiple. And I put he in here, HE in there again. And I run this. Again, you'll see movie A becomes a list of 250 objects, right? But this is going to be slightly more complex because what's happening here is, in this case, because of the fact that this opening A tag had not one keyword, but two keywords. So what ends up happening is each list item, so let's do the first one. Now, if you guys remember, when you go through a list, you use double brackets, not single brackets. That's the whole list weirdness, right? Double brackets, not single brackets. So this is the first item you see in the list. In the first position of the list movie.a, you see this right here. href up here and with the data, and then title keyword and with the data. You see, even within each row of the list, these items are also stored as lists. So if I wanted to get just a href for Shawshank Redemption, I would have to do bracket bracket 1, close bracket bracket. That's the first row in the list. Then if I want the first element in the first row, which is href, I have to do, again, right after it, bracket bracket 1. And when I do this, there it is. This is the title, this is the link, if you will, for Shawshank Redemption, right? And if I want the director and actors, then again I need to do bracket bracket 1, bracket bracket. That's going to be the first position in the list, the movie.a list. And then within that position, I want the second element, which is going to be right there, these values. So that's how it comes. Like I said before, it comes back as lists and lists within lists and lists within lists. That's how it comes back. And if A, hypothetically, let's say hypothetically A had another keyword in there, that keyword with some value, that keyword would have been grabbed as well, and there would have been, instead of 2, 1, 2, there would be a third element, bracket third element that I could get that value from. That's basically how it works, right? And that's basically how it works. So from here, right, I have these items. I now want to take these items and I want to put them in the data table. But the problem is, right, how do I now get, so this gives me the, let's go back here. So this gives me the link for Shawshank Redemption, right? I think the second movie is what? Godfather? I believe the second movie is Godfather. All right. Now for the link for Godfather, it would again be A bracket 2, the second movie, and then the first element in that second movie, right? And this would be the link for Godfather. So how can I grab the first element in every row of a list? I showed you guys this in the introduction. You're going to use the sapply function. You're going to use the sapply function. And the sapply function allows us to go through all the lists, every element in the list, and then looking inside the sublist within those rows and grabbing the element we want. In this case, movie link is the first element. I'm sorry, I did movie.href. I think I got this all confused. I messed this up a little bit. These variables don't make any sense, but let's go with it. All right. So, I mean, I should call this directors, not href. I'm sorry. We'll just go with it. We'll call it href. All right. So I call movie.link will be the ones with the link for each movie. Movie.href, again, sorry. This will be the director and the two main actors. So let's go ahead and grab it. All right, again, fix the quotes. Alrighty. So here, sapply, what does sapply do? Sapply basically says, okay, I'm going through this list. I'm going through this element, right? And within this element, what the second part here is doing is saying basically, look in the list of each element in this list. All right, so look in this list and grab the first element. And this line obviously is doing the same thing, except it's saying, go through every list, go through every item in this list, go within the list, right, of each row, grab the second item. So I go ahead and do this, I go ahead and do that. Now if I were to type movie.link here, I got all the links. If I type movie.ref here, I got all the, whatever you want to call this, director / two main actors. All right, bam. All right, and again, I'm going to put this into my data table as well. All right, this is seamless, boom, boom, just like that. And so now if I click on DT again over here, I got my 3 columns. Look at that. It's coming together, guys. It's coming together. Now, look, like I said before, this is the partial link. I have to add the www.imd.com to it. Or actually, I have to add https://imdb.com to it. And that's what I do in this line right here. All right. So what's going on here? I'm saying to the left of the comma is blank. That means for all the rows, the link column, I want to overwrite that column to be this new value, which is going to be, again, let's fix these quotes. All right, I want it to be this new column, which is going to be this value, https://www.imd.com, comma, link. Now, what does this paste 0 function do? Let me show you down here real quick. All right, let's say I have two strings. A is fat, B is this string cat, right? So if you want to concatenate two strings, that's what you use the paste zero to do. That's what the paste. Notice you have two functions, paste and paste zero. They both pretty much work the same. The only difference is paste gives you paste zero gives no space by default, whereas paste would give you a space. And that's the only difference. And in fact, you could mess with the options and whatever. So that's the difference between paste zero and paste, right? So paste zero over here is going to basically concatenate this with everything in link, combine those values, and then overwrite the link column. Overwrite it, right? So let me just put this in comments. Right? So I go ahead and I run this, right? And now if you go back to the DT table, look what you see. See that? Now every link starts with https://www.imdb.com, blah, blah, blah. And now we can literally just copy and paste this in the URL. Bam, and we got the individual pages. We're good to go. All right. From here, let's see if there's anything else we can grab. All right, yeah, there is information. We got the years of the movie, 1994, 1972, 1974. Let's get the year the movie was made. I don't know how effective that is in analysis of a movie, but you know, why not? Let's throw that data in there. We don't know for sure, so let's go ahead and grab it. Now again, if you look at this, if you look at the tag right here, I have a class right here. The data is tucked within these HTML, an HTML tag called span, an opening span tag and a closing span tag. So I need to use HTML elements to get this. I can use HTML elements to get this, all right? But to grab it, I'm going to now use secondary info. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this HTML element. And that's why I do HTML elements, SEC equals HTML elements, all right? So I can grab that URL. Oh, also guys, remember the underscore goes away for some reason. There we go. All righty. And if I type SCC, you will see that it's all those HTML elements, all the spans. See that? We got them. All right, now from here, you know what we want to do. For each one of these HTML elements, we now want to say, give me the text. Just give me the text. And we'll call that movie.year. Let me copy and paste it for speed. These spaces, make it nice and clean. Boom. And now if I type in movie.year, looky, I got all the years, right? 1994, 1972, 1974, etc., etc. Notice the quotes around it because, you know, there's parentheses, there's strings, all right? There's strings. Now, we want to take this step further. We want to convert this to a number. Before we do that, guys, again, my ABI students, we want to take out the parentheses, right? We want to take out the parentheses. How do we take out the parentheses? G sub. You guys remember that? G sub. Let's break it down for you here. This should be a good review for you guys. So you guys thought I was crazy. Oh, that's ugly. All right. Just gonna write it. All right, so in ABI, you guys thought I was crazy showing you that stuff, huh? You guys probably were like, "Oh, never use this." All right, suckers. All right. First, you want to give your pattern. Oh, and for my new students, you guys never saw this. I do have a... I'm going to post another slide. It's actually just 2 or 3 slides for you guys to see how to work GSub works. Right? GSub works. Now, in terms of the pattern stuff, you guys are still going to be neophytes. Like everybody else is going to be neophytes with this too. I just have to show you guys how this stuff goes. All right. So this is how you write it. Boom. Okay. What's happening here? Let's break it down. Again, to the left of the main comma, not to be confused with the comma within the GSub function. That's something different happening there. The main comma within the square brackets, the left of it is blank, meaning to all the rows we're doing this operation. What is the operation we're doing? We're basically going to strip out the parentheses. How do we do that? Well, the GSub function, and by the way, year, again, colon equals, within data tables, colon equals, guys, as a refresher, that means basically we're overwriting anything in the year column. All right? In this case, we're just overwriting it with information from the year, it's the same column, except we're manipulating that information. All right? So what does GSub do? GSub has 3 parameters. 3 parameters, okay? The first parameter is the pattern you are looking for. I'll explain this in a second, right? But this is the pattern we are looking for. The second parameter is what you want, when you find that pattern, what do you want it to become? In this case, we want it to become, quote, 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 meaning nothing. We want it to go away. When we find that pattern, we want it to disappear. And the third parameter of GSub is always the original column where you're doing this manipulation from, in this case, which is year, right? So this happens first, and then this gets overwritten. So don't be confused the fact that you see year on both sides. Again, the right side always happens first, then this will happen. Then it'll be overwritten. All right? So now to the pattern. What's happening in this pattern? Now, in these patterns, this is what we call regex patterns, and this is something that exists within R, Python, Perl, all languages. It's regex, regular expressions, is a language all on its own. That all these languages for pattern identification, that all these programming languages leverage off of, including R, including us. And it's incredibly powerful. I mean, you just have to know, even if you know just a little of this stuff, it's amazing the stuff you can do with it, right? So we flex our muscles a little bit here. So opening bracket and closing bracket, again with quotes, the reason why it's with quotes is because we're defining a pattern. All right, and the pattern we're defining here is anything within the brackets, open and close brackets in regular expressions basically means, hey, find any iteration of any symbols within this open and close bracket. So in this case, the only symbols I give it is an open and close parenthesis. The order I give it doesn't really matter. Right? I gave it like that because it looks cool, but you can give the closing one and then the opening one, doesn't matter. Anything within these brackets, GSub is going to look for. So GSub is now basically going to look for any open parentheses and any closing parentheses. And when it finds any of those elements, it's going to replace it with nothing. With nothing. And that's basically what we want here. We want GSub to go from every element searching for either this or that and basically replacing it with nothing, so it effectively deletes it. It effectively deletes it. And then it's going to overwrite the year value in the DT table. So let me go ahead and do that. Is that an error? Oh, guys, you know what I didn't do? I didn't add the year column yet. So let me add that here first. Let's add it in here for all the rows. Make a new value, new column named year from the vector movie.year. All right, now I click here. Now you guys scroll over and you'll see years there. Now it's there. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and run this GSub with the manipulation on the year column. Boom. Now I go here again to my DT table. Look what you guys see. But we're still not done, because what do we have to do now for my ABI students? We want to make it a number. So we're going to use the as.numeric command. Now, for my new students, you can use the is it str? The str command right here. right? And what the str command basically does is it gives you the definition of the table. So it says, hey, you have a column called movie name. That's the character. Here's the first few values. You have a column named link. Here's a character. Here's the first few values. It looks ugly. You have href. It's a character. Here's the first few values. And then you have another column called year. And see, it literally is telling you these values are characters. THR stands for character, meaning not number, right? So that's a nifty little function called str. But we know it's already text. We can tell, right? So we're going to go ahead and convert it into a number now for all the rows. Years equals. And the function that's pre-built into R, guys, is called as.numeric. Anytime you see a function in R that's as dot, got it equals there, as dot basically is how you convert one type of variable into another or one type of data container into another. In this case, we're converting these strings or characters into actual numbers, right? Boom, and now I click on DT over here. And now you guys will notice how the numbers now shift to the right. Before they were shifted to the left, like these sentences. Because it's shifted to the right, we know it's a number. So now we got numbers, and now we got our year. All right, now let's see if we can squeeze any more information from the main page before we go into, yes. Let's get those ratings, right? Let's get the ratings for the movies, and on top of that, let's get how many people voted, right? Because look, it's not enough to have, when you're doing these rating scores, right? It's not enough to just have the ratings, right? But how legit are these ratings? Meaning, how many people actually voted, right? A movie can have awesome ratings if only 5 people vote, right? If you guys think about the movie The Last Jedi, right? The critics' reviews were fantastic on that movie. I don't know why. Kathleen Kennedy must have paid tons of money, and Disney must have paid tons of money to pay off those critics. But those were abysmal numbers. If you actually looked at how many critics voted, there weren't that many, right? So we want to grab both the rating, which is the text right here, that's easy, right? But a little more trickier, we want to grab this, right? We want to grab that. How many people actually voted in the user rating, okay? So again, what we want to do here is we want to find the class. Now notice this class, this is what I'm talking about. This particular class right here has 2 classes assigned to it. This class, space, this class. In HTML, you can have that. You can have multiple classes assigned to an HTML element that defines how it's going to look, right? Some designers, they like doing that because they like having one class focus on location, another class focus on color, and that's how they like to be a little more efficient, right? So it's fine. We can search for one or both. It doesn't matter. In this case, we literally just want any class associated with IMDB rating. So this is why in my HTML elements, I do dot, it got cut off right here, dot IMDB rating, space, remember when I do space, this HTML tag I want. So that's why I do IMDB rating space strong. All right, let's go ahead and grab that. If I can grab it. Hopefully it won't be ugly like the other one. Not bad. Oops. So this is going to be fix the quote, bring that dot over, fix the quote. And now I'm ready to rock. I got my movie ratings. And you can see we grabbed all those HTML elements. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Look at that. So beautiful. So the first thing we want to do is let's grab the ratings. That's going to be easy. That's within the HTML text, guys. All right, that's easy. We just strip the text, the HTML text, from all those HTML elements we grabbed. We can fix the spaces. Damn. All right, now I look at rating. Nice. Again, you can see the quotes around it. You know, we know it's going to be strings, but it's okay. When we load it up into our DT table, right, we can do it as a numeric. As we create the column, we can make it a numeric. So that's not a problem at all. Oops. All right, I'll just type it by hand. Called it rating, right? Yeah, I'm gonna keep it as notes, closest possible to the notes, as dot numeric rating. Right? Click on DT. Look what we got there. All right, look, it's already looking like a professional set. Look at that, guys. Right now, we need to have a little more fun here. Okay, now we need to grab the attribute from movie.ratings, right? The attribute from movie.ratings, guys. Right, remember, the attribute from movie.ratings grabs the keywords within the HTML text. Now again, just as a reminder, if I type in movie.rating down here, movie.rating is the actual HTML elements, right? Within the strong, open, and close strong tag, what elements, what keywords do you have in the tags, in the opening tag? You have basically just one, title. You just have one. So previously we had two, so now we're just going to have one. We're just going to have a list of items with just one list element in each one, instead of two from last one. All right? So now I'll do movie.votes. I'll call it movie.votes. I'll grab this, right? And I do movie, and this is what you see. Right? So again, it's a list of items. And again, this time there's only, you know, it's called title, because that was the keyword, but there's only one list element in each one. All right? All right, cool. We can strip this out, no problem, right? In fact, we go ahead and do it. We call it, I don't know, for some reason I call it votes.title, right? So we go ahead and we do it. I don't know why I call these names. Let me just grab all this stuff, guys. I'm going to use it anyway. Oh boy. All right. That didn't work out right. So let's go ahead and just do this. Votes title. So guys, what am I doing? Just like last time, I'm just going through the list and I'm grabbing the first and only element in this case. It's the first and only element. Right? So I got it out of the list and now I have it in a little more proper array, right? Vector array. There we go. See, I have all these values. Now what do we want to do next? We need to somehow strip this number from this sentence. How do I do it? I'm going to use regular expressions, but now I'm going to use a function that whether you were my ABI student or you weren't my ABI student, you've never seen this functionality before, right? Remember, grep allows you to check true or false if a pattern exists, right? gsub, it allows you to basically replace a pattern within a string with something else. Now, this new function allows you to find a pattern and extract it out from the main string, right? Find it and then extract it out. And that is a combination of two functions called regmatches and regular expression. All right? Regular expression over here, this is called within regmatches. And the reason it's done like this is because what regmatch expression does is it finds whatever pattern you're looking for within whatever column you're looking for, or whatever, in this case, whatever vector. Just we're doing directly on the vectors, right? Once it finds those patterns within that vector, in this case it's going to be the vector, it gives both the position of the patterns and the length of the patterns to regmatches. So regmatches then takes the position and length of each pattern, and then it applies it to that same vector. This is why this vector is called twice in here. It's being called in reg matches, and it's being called in regular expressions, right? Regular expression finds the patterns within the vector, and then reg matches takes the position and length of those patterns and then strips it out of that same vector. That's why it shows up twice. That's why it shows up twice. All right? So let me write it out, and then I'll explain to you how that pattern works. All right? Let me show you. I'll show you how that pattern works now. All right? So let's write it out first. So let's see if we can copy this part. Gotcha. All right. All right. Let's do this part first. All right, let's just do the regular expression part first. Let's construct this. All right. What's happening here? Now again, within the quotes, you're putting the pattern. What the hell does this pattern mean? Take it step by step. We already talked about before up here in G-sub what this opening and closing square brackets means in terms of patterns. This opening and closing square means basically find all these elements, okay? In this case, I put 0-9. Now, my ABI students definitely remember this syntax. 0-9 is basically saying find all occurrences of any numbers 0 through 9. 0, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? So literally, it would go ahead and it would find this, it would find this, it would find this. Anywhere there's numbers, it's grabbing it. But now, after the closing bracket, I put the star. What does that star mean? That star means, you know what? I'm going to show you step by step. Let's do this step by step. All right? Let's do this step by step. So if I do just this, 0-9, right? If I just did 0-9, votes title, right? What do you see, guys? You see two things come up at you, right? You see two things. You see first a set of ones, and then you see another set of ones. What's happening here? Well, like I said before, regular expression, it finds the existing pattern and it finds the length of the pattern. So in this case, it found the first pattern that met that criteria, the first number. See how all these numbers started with the score, right? Well, these scores are numbers. So, and it's actually an 8, right? Which is falls between 0 and 9. So it grabbed it. This is why 1 comes up. 1 is basically the position in the sentence where the pattern starts. It starts at the first freaking character. So what is the second set of ones? The second set of ones is how long the pattern is. The pattern is just length of 1. Wait, what? Why is it just length of 1? These square brackets, when you do that, it's literally saying find the first occurrence of any of these numbers. That's it. It's just one and done. Find that one element in it. And it did. It found the 8 and called it a day. Right? It is not until we place a star after the square brackets. That star means now, okay, find these numbers in any length of occurrences. So don't just find the first time it occurs, find it occurring in immediate order. So in other words, find any numbers of any length. So when I type this in, okay, cool. When I type this in, right, was there any, no, they're all still 1 and 1. Why were they still all 1 and 1, guys? Why were they still all 1 and 1, guys? Right? It was all still 1 and 1 because finding the numbers of any length, right, means it could also be just 1. So it still satisfied the first condition. It's still the same as before. It is not until I get clever and I put a comma in there. Now what's happening? This just changed everything. This is now saying, hey, find the pattern where you have a number from 0 to 9, right? Or numbers from 0 to 9. Remember, that's what the star does. The star is basically saying that you can have you can have as many digits as you want from 0 to 9. That number pattern can keep repeating unlimited amount of times. But at the end of those set of numbers, there's a comma. There's a comma. Does these numbers satisfy that? No. They don't end with a comma. They end with a period. Which number satisfies that? These do. These now have unlimited amount of numbers that ends with a comma. So when I do this, right, you get this. Now, this is a little confusing. Let me wrap this in reg matches so you can see it, which pattern is being pulled out. Right, and this will be clear for you guys. Reg matches will do the work for us and grab what we need to grab. So within Votes title, right? Look what it's grabbing now. Right? It's now grabbing the first number and comma instance it sees. What does this tie into? If you look at a 35 comma, so many comma there, right? This is what you're grabbing. See? 35 comma, 70 comma. That's the pattern we're grabbing now, guys. Now look, again, let's do this. Let me remove the star. Let me remove that star. Look what happens. So now it's just the bracket 0, 9, 0-9, close bracket, comma. Now it's looking for any instance of a number from 0 to 9 with a comma immediately after it. Look what we grab. What just happened? Why is it 2 comma, 1 comma, 2 comma? Because we only specified it for one situation. 5 comma, 0 comma. Again, if I write Votes title, all right, you see that over here, this is 5 comma, 0 comma. Scroll all the way up. 5 comma, 0 comma. That's what the star is doing. The star is basically saying, all right, find an occurrence of a number 0 to 9, and then a comma, but it can be as many numbers as you want before that comma. They just have to be right immediately afterwards of it. And so when I do that, I get 373 comma, 431 comma, etc., etc. So we're almost there. We're almost there. We're getting the first part. Now we need that last part. That last part, again, is what? It's, yeah, we identified this part of the pattern. What about this part of the pattern? What about the part right after it? Immediately right after is what? It's also numbers, right? It's also numbers, but it could also be, if I scroll up, commas. See, I can get up to here, but afterwards there's numbers, and in some cases there's commas. What do? Square brackets comes into play again. So immediately the last part of my pattern is the square brackets, where I say again 0 to 9 and pardon me. Sorry about that. So it's going to be 0 to 9 comma. Oh God, 0 to 9 comma, what's going on? So now it's saying within the brackets, search for, after the comma, search for any number from 0 to 9 or a comma. So after this, after the first numbers and sets of commas, look for any numbers or commas. But again, it's only going to look for one occurrence, just one occurrence. If we want multiple occurrences, then we have to put the star there. And now, ladies and gentlemen, when we type this in, look what it grabs. It now grabs all the numbers after the comma, or all the numbers and commas after that initial comma. And now we stripped out the numbers. That is what's happening. It's a little crazy, it's a little wild, right? But this is why I said that I'm going to give you the coding, but I'm going to be very strict on what I test you on. And even though I kind of expect you guys to know some of this stuff, but the way I'm going to be very strict on what I test you on, I mean by strict, I mean I'm going to keep boundaries. Even though we're going to go crazy with machine learning stuff, the boundaries on what I test you on is basically going to be, and for this class, it's going to be on the practice sets. So everything I have on the practice sets will be what I test you on. This will free you up to actually enjoy what you're looking at and play with it. And more importantly, again, think. How can you innovate with this? Right? Even, I don't care what job you're at right now, what internship, part-time job, I don't care. How can you innovate with this? There's opportunities here, guys. There's opportunities. You guys are MBAs. Make the money. Take these skill sets. How can you make some innovation, make some money? So it's pretty wild. It's pretty cool. But this is how we stripped out the numbers. When you're doing analysis on the trading desk, we're dealing with all this kind of data, all this stuff. These kind of tricks are awesome in manipulating the data and getting the data you want. All right. So basically, this is where this reg matches comes from. I overwrite voter's title. I actually overwrote it. I shouldn't have done that, but whatever. I'll do it anyway. All right. So I go ahead and I call it voters.title, whatever, right? I do this, and now votes.title, guys, it's all overwritten to be the numbers. And I want to convert these to actual numerics, but before I do that, I got to get rid of the commas. How am I going to get rid of the commas, guys? G sub, right? G sub. So for, again, the first pattern is, the first parameter is basically the pattern we're looking for. We're just looking for a comma. The second parameter is basically what we want it to become. We want it to become nothing. That's why it's just quotes. The third parameter is which column, or in this case, vector, we're getting the data from is votes.title. I do this. And now votes.title. Our actual number, well, they're still strings, but as we load it into our data table, we're going to do it as a numeric, and we are good to go. Oh my God, come on. Write it by hand. For all the rows. We are going to overwrite votes title to be, again, actually no, we're creating a new column called votes title. Do we call it the votes title? What did I call it in there? I call it votes. Okay, good. I knew it was doing something wrong. So I'm going to create a new column called votes, and it's going to be converted number from the votes title vector. I do this. I click on my DT. Look at that. Huh? Slick, huh? Very slick. All right, and now finally, we want to scrape the director. We want the director, right? Director actually matters. I mean, there's some director like Chris Nolan. They have a huge impact on a movie. And people are like, oh, Chris Nolan movie, right? So again, we want to grab we have that data already here. See, in this column, we have the data. We just want to strip this part from it. Now, we can use our grep commands, but here it's quite easier because, see, each director is basically separated by this command, this string director. So I'm going to use something new that you guys haven't seen before called string split. Right? Now what string split does, it allows me to basically take a string and break it up into a list based on an element. So just to show you real quick, if I have element A equals, let's do, I don't know, thinking about a single word. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank here on an example. Dracula. All right, let's do Dracula, right? All right. Now, I'm going to say, all right, B is going to be string split, right? String split. Where the first parameter is the item that I want to, the string that I want to, the container I want to split. The second item is the text that I want to split it by. In this case, I just want to split it by the letter U. And the third parameter is basically something weird. It's called fixed. Now, what this means is string split allows you to basically put grep commands in here. So you can put this kind of stuff in here, right? And by default, actually, that's how string split works. You put regular parameters in there. So I just wanted to find, I wanted to just keep it simple, just find the letter and break it. I don't want any one of these key funky things going on. So to do that, I just do fixed equals t. Fixed equals t basically just says, hey, you know what? It is what it is. We're not using regular expressions. We're just typing in a specific string. So I do this, and what happens is B now becomes a list. In this case, is one element list with two different values in it, drac and la, right? It got split by U, and U is gone. So we took U, we split it. You have the drac, you have the la, U is gone. So we're doing basically the same thing here, guys, right? We want to split this by basically the director, parenthesis, dir dot, close parenthesis. That's what we want to do, right? And that's what we're going to do. So this is what I called movie.split. Hopefully I can copy this. All right, all right, all right, all right. Yeah, all right, so I just have to fix my quotes. And by the way, notice, ladies and gentlemen, notice something. All right, my fix equals t, I have the movie ref. Again, because this is in the, this is from the variable movie ref from before, right? We still had this vector from up here, right here. This one, line 21. All right, but notice that I don't just put parenthesis dir dot close parenthesis. I put space open parenthesis, space, right? And I do that because here I can see it's the names and a space and then open parenthesis, dir, etc., etc. So that's why I do that. So I go ahead and run this. Movie split is now going to be a list of elements. There they are. And I just want the first element in each one of these lists, because that's the director. And we know how to grab that now. We're experts in this, right? Again, gotta just fix the quotes. All right, right. And if you look at the director of PR val, boom, you got the names. Huh? Oops, sorry about that. You got the names. And now I'm just going to put, I think it's called the director, the column director. Yep. And now I have the director for all the rows, creating a new column called director. Boom, I go here, my DT table in that column. Boom, look at that. That in itself looks like a great data set to work with, right? But we want some numbers. And so this is why, guys, at this point now, we are ready to start looping through and going through. So now what we want to do is, guys, we want to actually now start going and looping through each one of these, where are the links? These links now. Calling the individual pages, getting the data we want from them, and loading into our table. This is going to cause some problems because at the individual table level, the HTML is not consistent. IMDB occasionally keeps giving us different, for certain movies, different HTML formats, which messes up our scraping. Errors happen, so data comes back as blank. So we're not going to get data for each one of these movies, but we'll do the best we can, right? We'll do the best we can. So at this point in this code, we are now done. So we're done with part A of our lab 1. And the next part, we're going to start scraping at the individual movie level. All right, guys? So I close it at then. I'll see you guys on the next movie. I'll see you guys in the next part. All right, bye-bye.